than last time, but.
They said that I should go out and ask for water, they do about it.
Yeah, it's just a little bit torn, MCL.
Okay.
Not completely, but.
Thank you all for coming. This is the Village of Waterville's council meeting, regular council meeting, scheduled March 28, 2023. We're gonna start this at 6:01 p.m. Roll call, please. Start treasurer.
Absent. Schulborn. Here. Stanfield.
Here.
Walter.
Here.
Hitchcock.
Here. You got one? Everybody stand, please flag for it, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. Thank you. Okay, we're gonna make an adjustment. We need to add number 12 to a new business. At the bottom, just scribble it in on your sheet here. We're gonna have not to exceed $3,500 for Scott's Construction for the underground bore on 215 Cherry Street, and RC Excavating for the digging on both sides to get it hooked up. Right now, it's got a galvanized pipe underneath there, and we're liable to make sure that's not galvanized pipe.
And you said 3,500?
Yes.
That's what I got, yeah.
Okay.
That is a guesstimate, but we're pretty close on that. Okay? Other than that, we need approval of motion for the agenda as presented when I added number 12.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
With the,
Oh, with the amended.
Yep.
Number 12.
okay,
Second.
second by Lana. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, passed. Okay, this is open public hearing for budget approval. So this is for the budget approval only, if anybody has any questions on our budget approval. Do we need to open that?
I do.
Good, we need to open it, so I need somebody to make a motion to open it.
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing at 6:02 p.m.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
By Lon. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you, hi.
Okay, I was looking through the budget and I didn't see any money for the police.
Okay. We have a contract already with the police
Uh-huh.
that's already in place, so
But they don't come to town.
we,
They have not been in town in weeks. I go through town all different times of the day and night. I called over there and I said, I understand, we have just a 40-hour contract, and he said yes, and I said, well, I haven't seen them in town in weeks. Well, I have to tell them that they need to drive through there once in a while.
well, they have 40 hours a week, which that wasn't, the Village of Waterville's doing, is what Scott Wigglesworth, the sheriff, said he could do for us. And while school's in session, I have not seen them. I said, the school's the most important thing. So they've been there in the mornings and when they get out. You have not seen them.
No,
No.
and I've been riding to Fowlerville.
So I'm interested, so the,
And we need something, we need some police protection here, we're beginning to have some issues. I know one man that they were trying to break into his house in the evening. I know someone who had to call for a domestic dispute. And she called me after she had called the police, and it was at least 45 minutes to an hour before they got to her house, and when they arrived, it was the state police.
we do have it where we can collaborate with the state police through
Yeah, but
Scott,
when are they coming?
Scott Wigglesworth.
You know, it was over an hour when she called.
So this is one of these problems that went through from the COVID and starting with people not wanting to come to work, and he doesn't have enough cadets. So when I worked with Scott Wigglesworth, the sheriff, that was the best he could come up with, and anything else that he put pressure on, he could not get us any more people.
Well, maybe we
We've
need
also,
to look into something else.
we also looked into Williamson and the other, and they have the same problem. So we don't have any enforcement officers coming up at this time. We've got a stall situation that's happening where we just can't get enough people to police. So the state police said they would step in, along with Sheriff's Department, Ingham County, Scott Wigglesworth, And I didn't want him to go completely away. He said, this is the best I can do, or we have to void the contract and start with something new.
Well, he's went completely away because he hasn't been in town at all. I've got 6 weeks, I have not seen him.
6 weeks, we have not.
I
had
bet,
no police
I go in and out all different hours of the day and evening, and I have not seen him here at all. And when they used to set on Grand River, you know, it was a deterrent anyway, but.
For us to go and have the village of Waterville start up your own fire department, or your own police department, you'd have to have a lot, years ago, they had retirees. Well, that's not happening either. So however you wanna, yes, if you got a good idea, I will definitely go down that road. But we are not shorting ourselves, this council, and the village of Waterville is not shorting us, the police department, or any policing, we're asking for it, and they're pulling it away. So, the amount of hours we get is 40, we get state police backup, and
40
that's
would
where
be
we're at.
good, but we don't even have 40. So you might wanna look into that.
Okay? Yes, sir.
To touch on this just a little bit,
No, state your name?
Daniel McCarthy.
Yep.
I live on the corner of Pine and Howard, and I have seen, not lately, but I have seen sheriff's departments, they go up into the church parking lot, up into the upper parking lot, they don't come out of there for a half hour, minimum. Now, is this 40 hours? Is this 40-hour contract that we have with Ingham County Sheriff's Department, is that documented hours? Or is that just
It's in here.
taking Sheriff Rigower's word saying, we'll give you 40 hours worth of coverage?
Usually there's an officer here, and right in here's got the time and dates of what they did, the time they've been doing in the last 2 weeks.
Okay,
It's in here. You got any?
but that didn't answer my question.
No. He's on vacation this week, but did we have documentation in this pamphlet, or was it back? So every 30 days we get a breakdown of what time they put in for the last 30 days. And we've read it, and they're getting their time in. Now, evidently Chris is on vacation this week.
So we don't have coverage then?
No, they use a substitute or a backup guy, is what they do. So when Chris can't be here, they use another gentleman to be here in the same spot. So if this is something that's happened, then I have to give a little Scott.
Okay, I do have a question. I need a clarification on that because 2 weeks ago, he had stated that he chose to do 40 hours a week, 4 days, 10-hour days.
So when that's assigned like that, that's assigned to us. In the meantime, any 911 call or anything else that happens, whatever time it takes them to get to us in the Ingham County, we still have that policing. It's how long they can get there. We don't get the 80 hours, we got 40 hours guaranteed just for the Village of Waterville. The Village of Waterville says, I need an officer right now. If we call 911, Ingham County Sheriff will direct one of them, they're out on traffic.
Okay.
They're short people and they're trying to pull back cadets. And he said, if I can get more cadets coming, or maybe I used the wrong words, when I get new people, deputy sheriffs that come aboard, he said, I'll come back to you, Brad, and I'll let you have more hours back for sheriff. But right now, the only way you'd have any more sheriffs is if you turned around and they got them out policing the roads and we call, they come to it. The one that's assigned to us is 40 hours a week, assigned police officer that's in the contract, is supposed to have it here. Every week, 40 hours, supposed to. That's a contract. Now, if it didn't happen, then that's something I'll have to address. But in the meantime, if you call and say, look, 911, I need help, a sheriff or a state police is supposed to show up and respond to that. It's not that, we just don't have a designated police officer for the Village of Waterville at that time. You have to come from a different area.
So they're doing 410s every week, correct?
No.
When I had to sit down with Scott Woodsworth, which I will recheck that, while school's in play, I want to make sure that there's an officer in the morning and the afternoon when the kids go to school and they come out. That was, I sat right here at this desk with you. That's exactly what I want. In the meantime, everything else I understand, it's got to go back and forth. But while the kids are in school, I want to make sure that they're protected. So if that didn't happen, then I need to address that.
So during school, there is not an officer here in the village for 8 hours straight.
That's correct. It's very possible that they could take and alternate it and have it where they're 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the afternoon, the kids get out, and then put him on, traffic duty and bring back another person to make sure that I still have our 40 hours each week that we get for the village of Waterville. Now, when the kids get out, then it'll be a different plan. I said, you can flex the hours back and forth other than the schooling. I wanna make sure the kids in the school, I want one here, so that's my biggest concern. Is the kids need to have schooling when they come in and when they go out. Now, when school gets out, then the hours can be different. Once again, the council and the village of Waterville did not take the 80 hours and cut it back to 40. This is what he did because he's short people. He said, when I get more deputies, I can come back to you, but right now I need to do this. I cannot keep this contract at 80 hours. I don't have enough people to do that. And he, so the only option I had was to work with him or then completely just discard
So
the
the sheriff,
contract.
the sheriff just basically voided the contract we had.
And it can be done either way with a 30-day letter. But he said, I'll work with you, and I don't want to void it completely, but I need to cut it in half. I said, okay, let's try it. And he said, in the meantime, if anybody has, issues, they call 911, the traffic guys that are in traffic duty will be addressed as the soonest one that can get there. In the meantime, with what I had planned, was we were gonna try to put up some cameras in the area. We got quite a few out by the highway, but try to get some in the town area, so we have cameras in the village. And then they put up a couple signs saying, our town's been watched by cameras. We're trying to get that done this summer before school starts. That's the other thing that I'm working on. To justify where there's not policing, but the cameras. In a lot of places we go as businesses today, there's a lot of cameras catch things after math and then get addressed that way. But I will talk to Scott if somehow during school there's been no officer there. There's supposed to be officer when they go to school in the morning and officer when they get
Well,
out.
I know for the last 2 weeks, I personally have been going at school time, when little ones are going into school to Fowlerville, and there is no,
Now, he can park his car and he can be at the high school. If his car is parked at the school and he's watching them as they go in and out, they're actually going in the school and they got the dog.
okay, well,
So do you know for sure? if
No,
he-
well, I go in and out different times, I haven't seen him around, he used to drive by our house quite regular, doesn't, I don't see that anymore.
I think-
I'll start watching when school starts.
and then the afternoon, coming home from Fowlerville, he's usually sitting right out here in front of the school.
Right.
For 2 weeks, nothing.
Go ahead, Josh.
I do know that he is actively at the school a lot. He's usually there, either the morning or the afternoon when I take my daughter to the elementary. He's parked right by the, cross guard right there. So,
Right up here.
yeah, he does that a lot. Where he'll come in, but I was myself even a little concerned when Chris said that because you guys gave him the option to make his own hours and.
There was no option for Chris's hours other than Scott Wigglesworth and I sat there saying, the first thing that happens while the kids are still in school is you gotta monitor the kids coming to school and when they get out of schools. After that, we can alternate the hours at that time. But the most important thing that I said at this table was, I'm not gonna have somebody come to me and say, we don't have policing during school hours, coming to and from to protect the kids.
So I
said right
think,
in
yeah,
this
so I
table.
think you're gonna need to reiterate that with Chris, because I think he took it as that he could make his own schedule.
Right.
Chris
he-
Because
Chris
that's what
talks to Scott Wigglesworth.
Yeah, 'cause that's what he said at the last
said
meeting.
2 weeks ago,
Yeah,
he puts in 4 10-hour days, which leaves 1 whole day.
Then that means that one day, another officer, which I seen a different officer probably 3 weeks ago, that was out in front of the school versus Chris.
Okay.
His comment, I'm sorry
Yes,
to
ma'am.
interrupt, what he said was he does 4 10-hour days because it's convenient for himself and his family.
He
So,
probably does, but he's not, even though he's set up for he's not exactly set up for the 40 hours of the school, or for 40 hours exactly for the town of Weberville. We're paying for 40 hours for a deputy. Now, if Chris is on 4 10s and he's happy, then that's fine, but in the meantime, the school, while it's in session, Monday through Friday. And that's where we need to address, I'm gonna make sure Scott's on that, Mr. Sheriff. But 40 hours we pay every week, and from the last time I seen our journal, which I got it right here, I can pull up, I'll do that, where it'll show you that they're putting 40, 42 hours in each week that we're paying for the contract. Now, what hours them are, I only stressed about the kids at school. After that, as long as they're here, come and go, the other ones that are, when they're not there, we need them, they're the traffic duty sheriff's department.
And I think, if I'm hearing everybody correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, is not seeing the presence that you were saying, because I believe everybody is so used to how Matt was, and his presence was very strong.
You're not seeing the presence at all,
Correct.
you know, none. If he's here 10 hours a day, I should see him at some point.
Yeah, and like I said, everybody was so used to Matt. Matt was.
Yeah, Brad, did you ever look farther into, cause I know we talked about when the, sheriff dialed back their time, and I talked to Andy a little bit, I think you did too, about the village giving the school basically the savings, part of that savings of that contract to allow them to hire a resource officer, and then.
Erlon and I went to the superintendent talking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know that there are grants available too for the school that,
Cause I mean, I would personally, as, you know, obviously my position with DDA, I wanna see the school protected, but I also need to worry about all the businesses in town. And when they are gonna have problems, it's gonna be nighttime when no one's around. And we've had a couple instances thus far, but I feel like I grew up in this town, so it's not that hard to realize when cops are here or not. And with the limited source of that, I feel like it could get to a point where we start having a lot more problems, because the Out County, we only have 2 officers to cover all of Out County, Brigham County right now. And, I mean, that's a huge area. I mean, you're talking Dansville, Stockbridge, Mason, Onondaga,
Yeah, what's Dansville got for cops?
nothing.
Right.
They rely on the Out County.
Once again, what you guys don't all understand is, we didn't do this.
I understand that. He told me you didn't.
We didn't do this, and
But
then
that's not the point. Who did it? We need some police protection.
all right, so where are you gonna get, well, you got Ingham County Sheriff's Department, it is the police of Ingham County, telling you that he can't get police.
You gotta get
Police.
it somewhere else. You need to look for some, maybe get your own police department. Have you looked into that? Have you tried to get anybody?
Do you want, at
Do I
that
want
point,
what? I'm not a cop.
at that point, when we looked at it, Scott and I looked at it together, said how that works, is you'd get retirees that would wanna step in and help with small towns, that's how you get them.
Mhm.
But how are we gonna recruit deputies when he can't even have sheriff's department at his point? How are we gonna
Well, I can
recruit?
understand why people maybe don't want to work for the Ingham County Police, but coming to a small town, we always had a police department here.
the problem though, when we get into something like that,
Yeah.
is it's not just a matter of just
Right here.
hiring somebody. We would have to go, and we're going to have to get a card. And you've got the upkeep of the card, and there's a lot more involved in that. I'm not saying that you're wrong by any means. I totally understand where you're coming from. And, you know, maybe Josh, you and I can sit down, we can look at some grants that maybe we could propose to the school
Yeah.
that they can look into for a resource officer, which would allow more time here in the village. I have no problem with looking into that and getting it to the school, which then would free up more time for here in the village. I understand what you're saying, and I totally respect that, because living here in, you know, the village, I want the village just as safe as you do.
Oh, and we're having issues. That's the
Correct.
thing.
Correct,
And when they know there's no police here, you're just gonna have more.
absolutely. So, you know, I'll get with Josh, and Josh and I can look at some grants that we can propose to the school that they can look at for looking into to see about getting a resource officer, which will then bring that officer more into the village.
Yeah, because I think we'd all like to see that, obviously. You know, we'd like to see that the cops do more patrolling and stuff, because I actually, years ago, I actually was one of the people that talked to Sheriff's Department when Gene ran it, because the cops used to just speed trap for Weberville. And we had a contract, well, Weberville didn't get any of that revenue from those speed traps, so it really wasn't conducive. And my opinion was is that I felt the police officers that are assigned to Bartle should be patrolling the town, and actually, you know, if they come up to, on Clark, come up to Grand River, and there's someone flying by, absolutely pull them over, but I know, again, growing up in this town, if the cop was out at Mobile speed trapping, it was, you know, the town was free, you know, the toilet paper up or whatever else, because you knew the cop was out there and not in town. So that's why I think, and the officers we've had thus far have been exceptional with that. You know, they ride the bike around a lot, I know that, and are really, really active. So I think just probably maybe a little schedule adjustment needs to be done. You know, work on this grant thing, I think would be good options that hopefully we can figure out something.
The information that I read into, they had their own police department, which we even tried to check with Williamson if they'd be interested in monitoring over here, and they said they have all they can do to do theirs. That's Williamson. So you can't go Livingston because you're in Hingham. So you got Meridian that's already collaborating with Williamson. Perry has their own police department. Dansville doesn't have any. Stockbridge has got theirs. I would imagine when I sat here, and I'm pretty sure when Scott and I sat here, what it would cost to try to start that whole thing up here, you'd be surprised, which, again, I asked, is it something we need to pay more to have the deputy sheriffs here? He said, I just don't have enough people. And one of the things that I didn't realize until I had that conversation with him, they're by law required for the courtrooms, they have to supply the deputies for the courts. Which I thought, wow, you know, I figured, why would the courts have their own officers, just let the Ingham County Sheriff use their guys for the county versus in the courtroom? But, you know, last 3 great people we had here, they went to the courtroom versus out here policing and here, so I guess they'd rather be in the courtroom than doing work out on, what did I say, out mobilizing versus being in the courtroom. It's more. So I will see what they can do.
That's really not true, Brad.
Go ahead.
That's really not true that they wanna go to the court. The lady that worked here, she was probably one of the best ones you ever had.
Rhonda, Deputy Rhonda?
Yeah,
Yeah, she retired.
yeah, but she went to the court not because she wanted to.
They made her go.
Yes.
So Merle left here and he wanted to go to court.
Well,
Jason Cooch left here, wanted to go to court. Them two guys did. Rhonda Iverson, yeah, I didn't hear that one, but the last Merle and Jason Cooch left here to go to the courts. But it is something that I don't find appreciative to be less people, but the whole thing is if you stood down and said, no, you're on a contract for 80 hours, then the next question was, I'm gonna do a letter and in 30 days you'll have no police. So I'm working with Scott Wigglesworth.
yeah, but what happened when you wanted to reduce the hours and they said, oh no, you're under contract?
That's true.
You guys, you said that at a meeting here, you said, we went to them, we wanted to reduce the hours, and they said, oh no, you're under contract.
That was like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yes.
Yep. I understand. Well, you know how that goes.
What's good for you isn't good for me.
Yeah, and trust me, the biggest thing that I don't want to happen, and when him and I sat down on this, was what happened over at Lake Orient at the schools. And then he came and brought this on me that like, we gotta cut the hours back. And I said, I know that everybody doesn't want that at anybody's community, nowhere's. And that's what I said. If you cut my hours back until we can get this handled, please do not give up on our school when they come in and go out. Now, the other things, I'll take the hit for everything else that might get in a matter, but the children and the school from morning and afternoon when they get out was my main concern. After that, when they get out of school, we can alternate the hours so they're periodically here whenever, not 4/10s. Maybe that's what the officer gets, but other than that, we're supposed to be able to have periodically workers here Sunday, all the way back around to Sunday. Somehow periodically, there should be somebody in the area working, and we do pay for the 40 hours, and they are for the 40 hours. The last time he was here, I didn't get a breakdown, I just got this letter. Usually we get a breakdown of the hours that they put in. this was unusual the last time, I don't know why I wasn't there, but the first Tuesday, second Tuesday of every month, I get the breakdown of what they do the last 30 days.
What could you?
I can
check
give you a
into?
breakdown if you'd like.
Yeah,
They aren't here.
there you go. Oh, they're just not here.
No,
They're
they're
just
not.
not here. Document the day that you can tell me that they weren't
I
here.
will, any day, I go through town all the hours of the day, I've never seen them in at least a month. At least a month.
Downstairs.
Have you?
Downstairs.
Have you seen them?
Yeah.
You
I
have?
see them. That's at school when I go by, I see them at school.
Okay, if
out
they're
of
at
the
the
car
school
at
in the
school.
morning and in the afternoon, but where are they the rest of these 40 hours?
Sunday one Sunday I was surprised because it wasn't Chris, there was one sitting there by Chips, but randomly, it was an SUV, but I get it, it's only 40 hours a week.
Well, I'm gonna start watching the school. What time does school start? I haven't had any kids in school in a while.
8.
Yeah, 8.
8? And they get out at 3?
3:05.
3:05?
I'm gonna start watching.
But you brought up Lake Orion, and this is neither here nor there, but you know what? You could have all the cops you wanted in that school, it's the school's fault that kid shot them. If you study it out and you see it, they should have sent that kid home and they let him back into school.
True, but on that note, Lana and I went to the superintendent, they got glass, it takes them, what, 3 minutes to get through? So we're working with them, and the time and money, the 40 hours is all we get. They turn around, and the state of Michigan says anybody that has it where they fill out the paperwork, which we sat there with the superintendent, saying that there's an officer you can have at your school.
A
So,
resource officer.
there you go. So we're promoting that. Lana and I both sat there with the superintendent saying, look, this is where you need to do this, and we need to help you get this done, because we're having trouble with sheriff's department being 80 hours a week, so this is another program that we can get into, so you have an officer in the school.
If you had, say you had at least one officer that was willing to come here for a Weberville department, would you consider that?
True, but Scott Woolsworth and I, when we sat here and talked, and I don't wanna use this as a quote, but he said, if you try to start a police department, you need 3 people
Okay,
to start that. Not
and
just
if you had that, you would consider that? Yes,
Work
no?
with-
Sure.
Work with the council.
Sure.
It's more paperwork, but my opinion is, when things went wrong and you called the sheriff's department, when you had 80 hours, you had the helicopters, the dogs, you had every response possible, versus just having your city or village police officer. So whatever I wanna do when I sat here was to make sure that we had somebody that was going to wanna collaborate with us and know that we're not working against them. We think that.
I don't know, you ever had the helicopter out here?
Yes, we did.
I remember that one night,
I
that one guy was.
The kid that came missing, and he was in the cornfield.
And there was a girl that ran away.
Yeah.
And then over down to Marks, they had a whole deal set up with a light show, which was not in our area, but they landed over here, right where the house is on Lake Oak Street. All lit up.
So they wouldn't come if you had your own police department, they wouldn't come and help you?
We got like a little program, if they can't follow suit with what the state of Michigan, the Hingham County Sheriff's Department, right now, Scott Woolsworth said, when we make a call and we have a problem, he's got backing from, he can call and make sure Meridian can come, Williamson can come, state police can come, all that, and it can all come. Now, with the town having its own police department, you would have to make that connection for them all to come also, I guess at that point. But he's under contract, even though it's only 40 hours, to respond to something it's a 911, I guess is what I'm saying. I think it would work both ways, with that said, but I just know when I look at the books, and you're more than welcome to come back there in the garage with me, on when we had the police department here, and it's about 8 foot high back there, and this box is right full of what the police department was back in the day, and what went on. And actually, when I say that, it was because they had stuff that was done incorrectly and cost money. But not about the money, I'm just saying it was there. I would rather pay somebody to have all the accessories. To try to have your own, you know, like a football team. I'd rather have a football team than be the only guy carrying football. You know, that's what I wanted a team.
So if we have our own police department, and I'm not promoting that,
Right.
this is just asking. If we have our own police department, they're not gonna play with us, cause we got our own ball.
No, you'd have a mutual aid agreement with Ingham County.
You do, but they did mention that, like, the play ball,
Well,
It was like-
using your example, or your.
True.
your-
true, like, our guy here, when we had 80 hours, when Williamston called him on help, they took our guy from here and went to Williamston, they took the time off, but in reality, they're supposed to have no matter what, but time frame is the other thing. They never could say, no, this is how long it's gonna take
Yeah,
to
that's
get
the
there.
problem right there. How long is it gonna take?
It's not any different than what
But
we,
by the same token, the Williamston guy wouldn't come here, if you called for
have
him.
we ever had that?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think they have.
Williamson's responded many times over here.
We
We
have
haven't had a cop because I've witnessed them.
Williamson
Right.
used to come out to the Mason's Mobile when they called for help.
Yeah, there's still a mutual aid agreement that they will, like Brad said though, is the problem is Williamson's having the same problem that all the police departments are, is no one wants to be a cop anymore. It's not, you know, it unfortunately got too beat up on, so
Yeah,
now
hey,
they have no recruits coming in
you wanna wear a
and.
badge? I'll get you the car.
I mean, you can't blame them.
I know.
They get no support.
I know.
Yeah.
Like I said, I get it, and the only thing I can do to defend the town of Somerville with this shortage of sheriff and deputies is to take and get the cameras put up, that is in the other part of the grant that we can get, to put cameras up for burglars and vandalisms that are in your town, and then turn around and have,
Are you gonna run them all over town or just down the stores?
oh, you want one in your front yard?
I'd like one in my yard, yes, I would.
Well, that's where we had the trouble the other night.
Yeah,
Really?
oh yeah,
Yeah, there was a guy breaking into Dan
Norton's
Norton's
father.
father's house.
How come,
And
did Sam say
Dan-
anything about it? Oh,
Dan heard somehow or other, apparently, probably shouldn't even repeat this, because I don't know if I got it right or not. But, apparently, Dan, if there's somebody around his dad's house, it notifies him
sure,
because he's right there in front.
yeah, they got the big one.
So it notified him, he ran out to see what was going on, and he apparently scared the guy off. He was, one was in the front, one was in the back. And so then Dan come up and told us, and he went and told the lady next door and some
So he
people.
called 911, right?
Yes, he did.
And then how long did it take for a cop?
They didn't come out.
No,
Never came.
I guess not.
Then the lady next door had a guy at her door, and she called the cops. It was over an hour before they got there, and it was the state police that came.
And that's okay, I mean, that,
Yeah, that's
Not
okay
if
if they
it's-
get there in time.
Now if it's breaking into your house, it wouldn't be.
but what I'm saying is the connections, the 911 to fall into whoever's here first, whoever can get here first.
Well, yeah, you don't care if state police, Williamston, or who
Right,
it is,
I really
but an
don't.
hour is not
No.
acceptable.
And I even mentioned something about Livingston, they said that's a whole different new game, because they're close, Livingston. So, I will make a text to Scott Wigglesworth and see what we can do with this, and make sure we're straight. But in my opinion, right now, we're not getting shorted 4 hours a week, and it's not just Chris's 4410s, we're on call here, but,
What he told me was, I'm gonna have to remind them to drive through there once in a while.
gotcha.
So, you know, what's that? It's not 40 hours if you're driving through once in a while.
He's referring to Owl County,
Hmm?
right, he's referring to the Owl County, 2 officers that patrol all of Owl County, which is, like I said, it's Onondaga, Dansville, Stockbridge, and Weberville. So they
And they-
basically drive all out in the country, basically, so that's why he's saying he's gonna have to remind them to come into town more often, because that's something Chris has said too, is that he was gonna say something to the officers, the Owl County, when they're not here, that they need to start coming into town and
What would it take, because we're so close to Livingston County?
Just, they said there's just no.
They won't,
Not
because
possible.
we're a different county.
Yeah, not
They won't
possible.
cross the
They don't
line.
cross. Only if it's a chase. I can check again, but that was what I was thinking. But yes, that would be nice, but, you know, we're running into, like you said, nobody wants to be that badge person because they're getting such a bad publicity and they're all, I mean, they don't got no back support. I mean, they're trying to police, but yet they got police with all the things that are making it hard for them to do their job. So, we'd be more,
But
I mean,
you would think that, like in a small village like Weberville, they would have our support, that they would want to be here. You know,
Well, right now, there's probably not enough happening for them here, but there will be if we don't have them.
right.
I didn't hear that. So you're saying there's not enough for them to
There's
do?
probably, she said, you'd think they'd wanna be here.
Right.
I said, there's probably not enough happening for them, they're probably, you know, off around Lansing and stuff where there's so
More
much
activity.
going on.
Yeah,
But if we don't get them here, we're going to have issues here.
it's true. I agree. And honestly, the only connection we have is what we got. You're the first that have brought to my attention that we're having trouble with this policing that we're dealing with, stretched out, because we don't have enough deputies. I will see if I can make that arrangement different. But I don't think us firing up a police car and trying to get 3 people to try to do it on our own here is gonna make it any different than it is to try to encourage the other part of the program, because I like being part of the bigger program than I did trying to start an individual one. Because then you gotta police the police that work for the village of Weberville. Right now, we don't have to, we can just make a call and say, look, we need more policing, and you gotta have your hours at these times.
You make the call, they don't come. You know, you just got done saying that. We have 80 hours, they cut it to 40. They don't have enough people.
Right.
So, what you said, you might better try and police your own police than trying to police them, you know?
I would recommend, which I think is good, is the cameras in the rings. I do like the motion cameras, and we'll put some downtown, that's what we're gonna try to do this year, is get that going. Along with Lon and I talking to the superintendent to make sure they have an officer right in the school, so the school's protected. Because that, once this showed that there was a shortage of deputies, it started showing a couple of these grants that we could fill out, so the schools could get help. And we can do that. I will see if next meeting I can have a better answer than what we had. But nobody got hurt, nobody stole anything, Dan Norton was able to stop
I
it
guess he
before they
scared them off.
scared them off. Okay, gotcha. Is that what you heard too through Sam?
Yeah,
Because that's right where Sam was at.
yeah. Yeah, he was just talking about, I didn't hear the full score on it, but.
Okay. All right, so that was brought up during because you mentioned you didn't see our contract or what we owe you didn't see the sheriff's department in our, why would that be in there?
I didn't see it.
What?
Of course, it's quite a confusing budget. There's wages everywhere and kind of hard to follow.
Well, all that time we were talking versus, yeah, it's right here.
That's the DDA.
This is the DD, where's ours?
Sorry, in front of that. There.
In-kind drain. Highway fund. Contractual. What the council people, what we're doing is we're looking at our agenda for, to see where the Ingham County Sheriff's Department contracts in our fund. So I don't know why I should break it down, it wouldn't be broke down. It was in there the first time I seen that.
It's under contractual public safety.
Which is the very contractual.
I think this is the second page. I'm only looking at the 2019-2021. That was the last budget that was posted.
I'm looking at 3/31/2023, 23-24 budget, so it should be in here.
On page 2, line, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, line 8. Contractual public safety.
Page 8 of 15.
No, page 2 of 15.
Back of the cover sheet.
But I don't know if that's the right amount.
Right there, right? This is 23-24. Contractual, I was just doing anything on the
Can I ask you I know in ours, when you get it out, it says labor. All the labor is.
Yeah.
It's all
Is $10,000. And then it's divided out over here and divided out over here. Why can't you just get in one budget that says, oh, labor is this much, and it's like,
You can do both in the general fund, or water, and sewer.
I understand,
There's always we both of them.
I understand that, but you got your budget right here, and it says, okay, we have $10 to spend. Okay, this is our income, $10. Our total labor is $2. Now, 50 cents of that comes from here, 90 cents of that comes from over here. And then everybody would know what your budget is.
True.
And you wouldn't
Is your
have,
budget, is this part
and you wouldn't have this.
this here, so we add this plus this here?
So we have to, so I can spend more time about this meeting, but what you have to come within a certain amount each time to be what you're gonna spend on water, sewer. You got 4 different areas, and then when you pull the general fund, you have to write a letter. So this is 2023, and it shows a year before what we predicted and what we're gonna predict for 23 and 24.
So here is your year-to-date balance, and then this is the rest you plan on spending? Or this here, we can't see.
Nope, and
See, that's
I'll
just-
explain to you later when I hold up the needs
Sure.
but the reason is because each one of them has different grants and different fundings, why it's 4 different individuals we pull from. Then if you looked at the maintenance program, it would show that we pull hours off of our equipment, and then the equipment, if it's used for water or sewer, or if it's used for highway or roads. So we have to do 4 identities of where they pull from, versus having just, because that's how it helps us contribute money to municipalities. So if we don't, you have to make 4 separate identities, you have to split the truck 4 times. And you have to split the labor 4 times. If you don't, I just wrote it. You don't think I made sense?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, okay. So you did see it, so 2023, we have the contractual budget in there for our sheriff's department. Okay. I showed you that, that was one of your questions.
Yeah.
Okay, help me get my paperwork back straight. So, is there any more questions on our budget? Seeing none, we're gonna close that at 6:44 PM. I need a motion.
Make a motion to close the public comment hearing at 6:44 PM.
Second? Second by Deborah. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Good, passed. Okay, now I'm gonna open the public comment on any other agenda that we have going on this evening. Anything else this evening? And at this point, I would, let, Mr. Whitney's estate speak.
Thank you.
Glad you could come.
Thank you, Brian.
He's the one over here on Black Oak Street that's got all the houses, and I see you got a couple more signs put up.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Brad. I have a new sales marketing person, and she put together a little flyer, and I said, well, gee, while you're out there, why don't you stop by Brad's place and bring some here at the township, but I own those properties right up here on Black Oak, and I just built the 2 homes in right when you come in off of Grand River to the right. The others were there when I purchased those lots. And I'm just here to let everybody know, I know there's new things going on here. I mostly am building in Bath and Lanesburg and Mason has been where I've been building most of this stuff, most of my career. And I live in Bath now, I'm moving there now. Lived in Hazard since, 1988 in Bath, back and forth a couple of places, but I really like it out here.
How many more houses can you build there on Black Oak Street?
There's 20 actually.
So
There's a lot of sites and,
you know where they're talking about? We're talking on Gramer and Grand River, where Whitney Estates, where the.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so he now owns that private road that's there, that still needs a cap done.
Okay.
Yeah.
And hopefully he can come back with some proposal. When he taps in a house, it's pretty pricey. When he taps in a house for water and sewer, and everybody does it. We could make it different. We tried to collaborate with him where we could reduce them, and then eventually, if he capped the road, we'd take the road over and do the maintenance of the road. So maybe he can bring a proposal to us again to help soften the new homes so he doesn't have so much expenditure for the water and sewer hookup. So we get more houses built in there. And then, what we try to do with, making a long story short, is to have it where we could get the road ready after we put some more houses in there, because of course it'll tear up the road, and then we can do the maintenance on the road. Right now, he has to hire a private individual to keep it clean on Black Oak Street.
And I've had them for a bit now, and some of the people that would know lived here, and I've been mowing them and maintaining them the best I can, but the carrying costs are high, so I love that opportunity to look, as the water sewer tap-in fees, what we're talking about, are pretty expensive, so that would help. We'll get a lot more revenue by having homes based on just the lots that I'm paying on, but, and we do nice homes. You guys can look at what we got out there, check out the website, whatever you like, but I'll try to get them as affordable as I can for folks, so.
You're in the area though, you like your street, don't you? It'd be nice if it was blacked out.
It would be very nice if it was blacked out. It's a little rough right now.
Yeah.
So he just called me earlier today, because we've been collaborating back and forth, and then we got another house in town here on Pine Street, right? Pine Street, no, Cherry Street. So, I mean, new people wanna come to our town, so again, get something around again, if you got some people biting on, so we can get some more homes put up on your Black Oak Street.
I appreciate whoever's watching or whoever knows anybody's thinking. I'm real old school. I sit down with people and try to ask budget first, see what your wants and needs are, and see I'm out there. Sorry I didn't change my shoes, but bigger place. But we're real old school. We got the same people I've been having for years, and you can talk to people who built for me, or built with me, excuse me. Appreciate you inviting me and reaching out like that. Cause like I said, it was just kind of a last minute. Sharon was like, geez, I know these Weberville thing, cause she's from, she was out of a different state. Her and her husband just moved into town, and she put together a flyer and she said, this is a cool little town. I said, I know it is. I just haven't pushed it, marketed it smarter. Like I said, the amount of people and factories and things now that you guys are trying to get in here, I think will help everything, because you have to grow to some degree, or else, because I understand, I grew up in Detroit and then Westland, so I understand about what your concerns are over there in the corners and that. And you gotta watch out gotta watch your own backs. So, I know Brad's tried a ton for a lot of years, so thank you. Anybody have any questions for me or anything?
You said you got some flyers? You got some?
Yeah, there was some brought in here, at least she was supposed to.
Downstairs? Okay.
Yeah, there's some flyers and that, and I could bring some other things, and I'll get some stuff.
Your signs are
around.
up. Your signs
Yeah, I
are
put
up.
a big sign up there anyway. It hasn't.
Looks good.
hasn't produced a ton yet, but we're trying, so.
Okay.
Did she tell you about the community picnic and the vendor?
Yes, she
Okay.
texted me a picture of that, thank you for letting her know that, June
No.
something, right?
June 9th.
June 9th?
Yep.
Okay, alright, well, thank you.
And when you get a chance, like back with that road program, if you got that documentation, dig that back up, and see what
I
we
will,
come up
we'll
with.
do that, basically talking about the other water sewer tap-ins in different areas and that, okay?
All right,
Cause that would help things a lot, I could, then maybe, I'm real conservative, I don't put up spec houses, then I'd hope to sell them. It's the only reason I'm still in business throughout the, hard, good time or whatever, but, if I could put something up to promote and have a full-time model, that would probably help. So, okay, thank you.
thank you, Tom.
Nick, thank you.
Okay, we have a motion here, we close public comment.
I make motion to close public comment or public hearing at 6:50 PM.
I second that. Seconded by Deborah, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, passed. Okay. So now we're on consent agenda. Everybody get a chance to look at it, the minutes, accounts payable, investment report, revenue expenditure report, and the balance sheet. We can go through it, or we can, we've been, last couple weeks, being able to go through it. Why do you want the mileage? Oh, yeah, we had Lana's mileage. Lana, I'm sure the council has seen it, but Lana's been doing a lot of our banking for us. You see that? I did. You see it too, Debbie? Okay, good.
Thank you.
Yep, so that's in there. So I need a recommendation to the council.
I make motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Second. So Sandra said motion to accept, and Lana said second. Roll call, please.
Schoenberg,
Yes.
Steenstra,
Yes.
Walter,
Yes.
Hitchcock.
Yes. Okay. Okay, our reports, police report, there's no report, he's on vacation, which, well, usually we always get a report, even though it comes from the county. DPW report, Shane.
We got the last, meter that we reinstalled, at school, Monday. So all the meters are now read from here. We've got one more that we've gotta put in, we've gotta put a meter pit in. So that one, we can read that one. Let's see, we did a, curb stop repair. We've had some problems with our equipment. Got a dump truck down, our backhoe's down. We got our bucket truck fixed. I attended the conference, the Michigan Rural Water Conference in Acme. And I was elected to the Michigan Rural Water Board. So we'll have a voice from here on out with Michigan Rural Water. They've been a great asset to us and to a lot of smaller communities. We'll be able to lobby some of the, for some of the funding, hopefully to go to some infrastructure improvements. Infrastructure as in water and sewer, not like telephone cable and stuff like that. There's not really any funding except low interest loans for water and sewer. We've installed 2 VFD drives Thursday where we've got a pull pump and put 2 level transducers and 2 pressure transducers down in there. Our SCADA went down on Friday. We had to babysit the pumps. I worked on it over the weekend and I finally got it back up and going on Monday. We found out that our SCADA provider, our tech support, has went out of business. They just shut their doors and left, so we have no way to get parts, no way to get anything, so I've been going out for bids. We're gonna have to replace our SCADA. We're gonna have to replace our controls for our wells because you have to basically read the pressure and then flip the pumps on by hand when the SCADA goes down. So it's pretty much a full-time job babysitting and filling the tower back up, so. Still haven't heard on the pump for the lift station. The other one's been working just fine. I was a little worried with all the rain we've had and the high water levels and stuff, but it's been chugging right along, so. Only thing is here in probably the next few months also, with the VFDs installed, because they're not like, when VFDs start, they start off turning real slow and they ramp up and create pressure as they ramp up. So there's like it's kind of like a sliding scale. So if you have your Chem P pumps pumping at a certain speed, it needs to be able to adjust, Chem P pumps need to be able to adjust up and down like the motors do on the wells. When they need 4 of those, they're about $1,400 a piece, so we'll wait until we're in the new fiscal year before we do anything with that. Then we should be all set, we'll be able to run everything off pressure when we take our tower offline to do the washout, so. Other than that, everything's been going good, really busy. Just kind of playing catch up, waiting for, Main Street project to start. I think we're all good to go on everything there, so, should be good.
All right, then we got, so at this point though, you tried to point out how you kept looking at that and you switched that one wire around so we actually can get it temporarily to work, which was nice to do because, Shane had me go out there with him in case nobody else could get there. I'm in town, so go out there and show me how to throw the switches manually to make sure we can keep our pressure correct on our tower. And Shane and I periodically are doing, looking on, the
Truck trailer.
Truck trader and the other truck paper, and then I got 3 calls into 3 different businesses that actually specialize in this. And, trying to get it so we can get this dump truck going. Might have to do like a 3-year-old truck or something like that versus the brand new, cause everybody's telling us 1.5 years to 300 days. They don't tell you 10 months, but they say 300 days, which wouldn't make our next winter, which is kind of really strange.
It used to be really easy to go to the dealership, go to like Central Ford or D&K or something like that and buy a truck, but.
They don't have one on lot.
Nope.
Bill, we need a salt truck.
I'll help you right out, I got one.
You do?
Absolutely.
Okay, keep your eyes open anyway.
Dan Gilder's having a sale. I think they have one.
We should probably put ours in it.
Salt truck, you don't need a real good one.
No, well, these are back when I didn't even have my driver's license yet. All right, well, anybody have any questions more for Shane? Shane, I'm glad you're feeling better, and Shane he went up to the convention for a whole week, got COVID from the convention center and spent a whole week at home.
Still a little fuzzy.
Yeah, so, how does that work? You got sick being on work because you're around the wrong people. How's that work, Scott? How do we do that?
Man, I don't know.
Pull work with Scott on that one. Okay. Clerk treasurer report.
So,
It's nice that you're here.
Yeah.
Jessica.
it's nice to be here. Had classes 2 weeks ago. It went really well, learned a lot. Tammy and I have been working with Caitlin, Caitlin's done a lot. And then the lady who helps her, I think her name's Julie, helped get the budget done, and successfully we've done it without having to have more than 2 meetings a month. That's a little bad background. The community picnic's coming up June 9th, 5:30 to 7:30, where we're gonna get a car show, a vendor show, touch a truck. Lions Club's bringing this trailer for kids' eyesight, so, and got a band that's playing too. So,
Were you able to get in touch with all of you?
I contacted them again, waiting for them to contact me back, because they said they had to check with it again. So, I've been around,
Okay.
Yeah, usually they're all for it.
yeah, I think it's been a few years,
Oh,
so I don't know what's going on. But they seem eager to do it.
Yeah, I know a guy for the car show. He's gonna bring his, car club in.
very nice.
Yeah,
That was your doing, everybody, that was nice of you to bring them in, help.
Yeah, if
You
don't
familiar with
let
him,
know.
Josh?
I probably have, yeah.
Do you know Glenn Martin?
Yep.
Okay, he is my brother.
Oh, really?
It's like I know where he lives.
Let him know, then keep up with the daily tasks and.
Okay.
Anything that comes in our way, cause we're ground zero for any problems, so.
Like I said, if we need to, I can go to Costco, I can go to Sam's.
Right,
Appreciate it.
not a problem.
it's helpful, especially when you go to the banking, that's helpful.
I don't mind really.
All right, so, any questions on clerk treasurer, Jamie, or Jessica?
No.
Give me a
Oh.
It's only because I got the call today from Hingham County, you got the call too? Yeah, so, that's only, so I
I'll
have,
forget it was one time.
okay. Mr. Josh Rocky, Waterville Downtown Development Authority report.
Don't have a whole lot there. They did the bid on the parking lot to have that excavated and, all the spoils taken out of there. We're gonna work with that excavator to see if they'll do a bid with, when we put it out to bid for the parking lot, just so we can possibly get it done with the same person twice, just make it easier. And then for the Ford building, we did at the last meeting approve the, phase 2 environmental to be done on that building.
Did Jim Wright give you that information you needed?
He did,
He did not.
no, but we just decided to just do it anyway, cause it needs to be, even if anything Jim had would probably be too old anyway.
Well, it was nice to hear his wording that he thought it was done, so that gives us somewhat encouraging to go forward.
Yeah, I mean, according to the environmental company, I mean, that it's kind of a weird area because they don't have any proof that there's tanks there, but they don't have any proof that tanks were removed from there. So they just assume that because of, there's photos from like the 20s, that there was 2 pumps there. But I went through, Norm Mack's pictures that he has of like the whole town's history thing. And it seemed like it was only maybe 10 years that they had pumps there and then they were gone. And then it was never there, so I'm not sure, but might as well just err on the side of caution, have them do the borings and have them give us a, a thumbs up on it.
Hopefully that clean bill.
Yeah, hopefully so. I mean, if it comes back contaminated, then we have to go through, I'll have to go back through the grant process of MUSTA again and see if we can get it approved.
Do you think we'll be on schedule with the parking lot right there by the post office to get that done this summer, right along with everything else?
The schedule as it sits now would be, I want to say Alan said June, July. So I'm hoping to stick with that. The only thing that we are putting in the bid package is that they have to be cautious on what work they're doing on Summit, because obviously that's gonna be the only way past Main Street. So we have to make sure that they're not gonna be in the way there.
I got you.
So, which so far Alan said that probably will be things, they'll probably work on the curbing at the very end of it. So,
You know what lot we're talking about there, just to the east of the post office? So the EDA, we purchased that, so we make that a parking lot. We'll light it up, put a camera on
What do you mean a parking lot for?
it. We do?
Why don't you put a basketball hoop at the end of it too?
You know what, that probably would be just right, we probably could put,
If you're gonna light it up, you might as well have lights for the kids to play basketball.
I'll play ball with you though.
Make it into.
I think you and I are both over that.
All right. Yeah, that's cool, we'll get that. Yeah. Okay. Any questions from the council people for Josh Rocky? Okay, seeing none. The building zoning report, I didn't see anything. Right, he's only once a month. He was here last, The NISA report, looks like we got something. Sandra?
We haven't actually had a meeting since the last time we were here, and, the only thing I brought to the council was that we got a letter from Alyssa Slotkin, just thanking NISA for being at the MSU shooting, so they responded, and, there was another thank you card as well, so, that's about it. They're fully staffed, so they're
That's nice.
doing really good, yeah.
Maybe we can get the fire department, maybe we get the fire department to respond to the 911 when you have somebody breaking and entering stuff.
You know,
We should use them.
when I had the pickup burn up at my place, printer burnt my barn down too before the fire department got there, so.
They got full staff now.
They had to wait for two guys. One guy couldn't bring the truck out, they had to wait for two.
I'm just trying to help. Scott Gould, our famous, greatest lawyer of all.
Thank you for the introduction.
We're so glad you're here. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you for having me, and, so what I have to report is, White Rose, the pending matter in circuit court is still pending. No date set certain as to when the circuit court's gonna hear our, appeal briefs. However, in district court, and when I say we, Jim Wright actually had a hearing with the magistrate and White Rose on outdoor storage, and Jim prevailed. The magistrate fined White Rose $560, I think it was total. Plus, she wanted a order drafted giving the village of Weberville the ability to abate the nuisance. So effectively giving the village the power to enter onto Jay's property, pull all the outdoor storage off the lot, and dispose of it or do something with it, at the cost of Jay. So pretty powerful stuff coming from the magistrate. I just checked the district court records prior to the meeting getting going, and there has not been an appeal yet by Jay Rittman or White Rose. I suspect there's gonna be one coming, because that's a pretty stout order to give us the power to go ahead and just take all those plastic bins out of there, or the bins with plastic in them, I should say. I know that Jim Ray also just filed another ticket, a violation, I believe it's for failure to have a certificate of occupancy. The next court date on that is scheduled for April 25th. So those are the things that are pending. Got a phone call from Jamie Nelson. She's the prosecutor for the Ingham County Prosecutor's Office, the Circuit Court Division. And I guess she was just calling to introduce herself, and she wanted to contact someone at the village. I gave her your name. She was just kind of giving me the update, wanted to make sure that she had all of her numbers correct, as to how much restitution's on the line. I asked, I was speculating as to why this matter keeps getting pushed out, and it sounds like it's been a matter of negotiating, and that Ingham County prosecutor is not sweetening the deal. However, the defense team seems to keep trying to push it out, but it sounds like from Jamie Nelson, the defense is running out of time, so hopefully we'll have some resolve here shortly.
We said tomorrow.
Tomorrow? She just said that she wouldn't be surprised if they tried to push it out again, but that's all.
How many times can you do that?
Well, it depends, it's kind of county by county. I'll tell you, in Shiawassee County, you might get one push, but I don't know what was going on with it. I wasn't there for all the matters. And I know Ingham County has a lot of cases pending, so maybe that's part of it too.
What she presented to me seemed fair and is the right thing to do, so
Yeah.
I would hope that would go that way.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. I also talked to Diane Wynn yesterday. She was just informing me that she's moving forward with her efforts to make sure the insurance claim is paid, and paid hopefully sooner rather than later. That's really all I have for an update. So.
Okay. Any questions for Scott Gould, our lawyer? From the council? Shane? Okay. All right. Then we have in here the reversal of the Polaris, right there it is. So did you see in there in our notes that we're gonna reverse the Polaris Ranger? Did that look like that's something we can do correctly? Okay. Thank you. We had the engineer, Alan Boyer was here 2 weeks ago. Was there any advocate reports even that somebody has got going on? I know Josh Rocky helped us with the Ford building. I think that's something we still should push from the DDA in the village.
Yeah.
So, I guess advocate reports, I worked with Shane and Jessica We had, Mr., I'm gonna draw a blank, what's his last name, Dollar?
Yeah, Pat Ballard.
Patrick Dollar. So Patrick Dollar is right there by the school on Main Street, wanted to know he's got a water puddle, from his neighbor, when it fills up with water, then it flows over into his yard, so. We talked with the Ingham County Drain Commission too, so it's been addressed, so it should be able to be fixed through the Main Street project. So that was that. All right, let's go on to new business, 423 Clark Street lot combination. So the council members, if you look at this, they just wanna combine this. He wants to combine it as one lot versus two separate lots at this time. It says right here from the McKenna Associates, recommendation, visit council to approve the combination of structural village staff, forward application to the township accessory for processing. So you just wanna combine that lot, see what they wanna do.
All right, I will make a motion to approve the lot combination at 423 Clark Street.
Second.
Any discussion?
No.
Seeing none, roll call please.
Shelburne,
Yes.
Stanfield,
Yes.
Walter,
Yes.
Hitchcock.
Yes. Sandy, you did a nice job on that one. All right. The U.S. funds for the Polaris on the new dump truck. Due to breakdowns that were beyond our ideas, and we were trying to go through our storm with a transmission blowed up on our John Deere tractor, and we had the council convinced to spend $35,000 on a glorified Polaris Ranger or John Deere to do our sidewalks on top of everything else as a SUV for the village of Waterville. As I kept explaining to Shane, talked to me and the other guys there at the DPW garage, say, look, we need to do something about our dump trucks and our salt truck. And actually Shane's got his used Polaris Ranger there. So that's how encouragement Shane is like, let's not buy a brand new Polaris Ranger, I'll bring my old one over here and we'll use that. We need to really concentrate on getting a dump truck, so. Although we're all human, we try to do the best thing for the village of Waterville, we need to reverse this $35,000 and put it towards our dump truck fund.
So are that what you're gonna use next year too? Or are we going to look for something next year?
Actually,
What?
we're not responsible to take care of those sidewalks and to put out $35,000 on something that's much better spent on a dump truck.
And
I don't know.
And we have that in an ordinance.
It's in the ordinance, yes.
It is actually spelled out very clearly.
Yep.
Well, Scott can spell it better. Between the people that own all the buildings and the people in the village, we are responsible to make sure that everybody's safe in this town. So somehow between the people that own their buildings, Josh Rocky, DDA, and us as a council, we'll try to come up with a different plan as we get closer to the fall, with something else that might be more acceptable.
Did Grant ever get back with you?
There's a couple different other machines, but what we were trying to do is have the guy be in a heated machine doing it, and it looks like the guy's still gonna have to wear his snowmobile suit. That's what we're trying to do.
Regardless, my biggest concern was, we do have elderly in this village.
It's true.
And if they walk out of that party store, or they walk out of the post office onto that sidewalk, it's the village that is ultimately responsible for that, are they not, Scott?
No.
No?
You're responsible to clean your own sidewalk. That would happen with the property owner also.
Well, I understand that. I mean, we were
If it
told
was
from the,
village property, yes, the village would be liable.
okay,
But if it's not village property, then no, the village is not on the hook for it.
okay.
And it's ordinance 92.15, snow removal required, and it touches on any house, store, building, or lot in which there's a public sidewalk. So it covers, it's well defined.
Okay.
That's where that insurance comes in
Yep.
too.
Mhm.
Thank you, Dan, our
So-
second lawyer.
Sure, do I get on the payroll too?
And Chestnut Street.
We need you to wear a
Private
badge.
property.
No, I, I go
Try
that
to
far.
keep it as clear
Did
as
you get back?
possible.
Howard,
So if somebody slips and falls
more than
walking
welcome
their
to it.
dog,
I'll just bring it up and you guys.
are they
can
gonna
have it.
sue me or are they gonna sue the village?
It's like brand new.
Sidewalk
Mm-hmm,
for your house,
mm-hmm,
they're gonna sue you.
Get your shovel out.
okay. Oh, no,
But I'll tell you though, I
we
mean,
do a good job at this. We go through
It's got charged better.
large amounts of salt.
if somebody's, negligent, you know, if there's this pattern of people not taking care of, snow, there is 92.16, it touches on negligent, or neglect to remove snow procedure. And it does give the village power to go in there and remove it, and then it's gonna be at the expense of the owner,
Right,
so.
right. Yeah, that's what Robin's afraid of, so as soon as it stops snowing,
Yeah.
that man is just out there and then he's sprinkling salt and I need another bag of salt. Okay.
Well, Shane and I had a discussion, and we were to the point where we multitasked with the salt truck, to the point where we were thinking two guys in the front end loader bucket of the tractor, which would have been the case instead of the John Deere, because that wouldn't work.
Yeah.
With two guys with scoop shovels, because we were down to that, trying to get the transmission to reset, but we got it.
Well, my biggest fear was like if somebody comes out of Noah's Nook or the party store, or, you know, now that the Medi First over there, you know, and they slip and fall and break a hip or break a leg or something, you know, that my biggest fear is we as the village would be sued for that.
I think somehow between the DDA and the village, we're gonna try to come up with another machine that can help for the downtown. It just might not be this machine.
I know me
It
and
might be
Sam,
something.
me and Sam just went rounds and rounds about the Grand River thing. And the only reason I know what more of the situation was because we had a, lady that tripped on the sidewalk in front of our place. And I had to deal with it. And one of the things that I found out from our lawyer is that I don't own the sidewalk at all, because has something to do with when Grand River was put in, they took all the frontage of the downtown and went right up to the buildings for them to be able to expand down the road, that they want that space, so.
So are you saying that's not village, that's county?
No, Weberville owns Grand River. We're one of the few villages that actually own Grand River. The only one actually left is, as far as I know,
Ring Road,
which is good.
just short of the bridge.
Yeah, which is good, but that's what I was told, and when they had the survey crew come out, like literally they put it right at the corner of my building, like that. I don't have, but I mean, the ordinance does say that we have responsibility of something that's adjacent to our property, but, you know, obviously we need to figure out something too, because obviously DDA also put huge islands of bricks
Yes.
on the corners, on the four corner there, which that's not really, you know, to ask a business owner to have to shovel all that and salt all that, I mean, that's a huge expense. Not to mention, you really don't want someone doing stuff on that brick that doesn't know what they're doing, because, I mean, obviously it's gonna ruin that real quick, so. Like I said, I think we can figure out something
We're gonna, something more reasonable than that.
to make it work.
I got a little battery powered snowboard. I don't use it, no, seriously, it's probably been used twice. I don't use it, so.
And I mean, almost every town that I know of on Grand River, like the municipality takes care of the sidewalk, because obviously it makes the downtown look really nice if you go down there and it's all, you know, because I mean,
We should be able to do it more manageable.
Sure,
Yeah.
the snow blower would do.
I mean, I've shoveled down all of, like, Summit to, you know, to basically in front of the, old Mason building, and went across the road and did the same thing, hand shoveled it. So it was not fun, I will tell you.
And if you have concerns as to a specific parcel, I can research it to see who actually owns what, but generally speaking, we do have an ordinance on point, so.
Okay,
Thank you, Scott. Appreciate that.
So I'm gonna make the motion to approve the removal of the funds for the Polaris and then apply it to a new dump truck, which is, the money's in the budget.
Right, and that amount is?
35,000.
I'll second that.
Any discussion, any more discussion? Seeing none, roll call please.
Schoenberg,
Yes.
Stanfield,
Yes.
Walter,
Yes.
Hitchcock.
Yes.
And that's on the minutes, we're changing the course of a motion from a previous meeting.
We
Correct,
reversed it.
Okay,
We agreed to spend money, $35,000 on the Polaris. Now we're reversing it, pull that back, and we're gonna try to come up with, I think we'll have a different mechanism, a different thing that will do the removal which won't be so, it won't be as hard to get to the sidewalk removal snow as it would actually a dump truck. We actually hire an outside contractor that could do it faster than we could trying to figure out a dump truck. Everybody we talked to, when I do this, I'm just right out brand new. The guy said, no problem, 300 days. I said, 30 days? He goes, 300. I said, 10 months? Holy moly. So we need to continue to work on that because that's been a concern. All right, so we have 2022 with 2023 budget. Any recommendation, everybody like the way we finish that out?
Yeah, so I will make a motion to approve the 2022-2023 budget amendment as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? And this work done on our budget was through also Plant Moran. I think that's Bluefield. So they've double, triple checked us, talked to Caitlin numerous times. And definitely nice with the notes.
Oh, yeah, she was very helpful and
Okay,
amazing.
roll call please.
Schoenberg,
Yes.
Stanfield,
Yes.
Walter,
Yes.
Hitchcock.
Yes. To 2023 and 2024 budget approval.
I will make a motion to approve the 2023-2024 budget as presented.
Do I have a second?
I second.
David Walters, second. Any discussion with the council for our new budget for 2023, 2024? Seeing none, let's do roll call, please.
Schoenberg,
Yes.
Stanfield,
Yes.
Walter,
Yes.
Hitchcock.
Yes. Weberville Downtown Development Authority 2023 and 2024 budget approval. Josh, did you like yours? That went really good.
Yeah, it was really nice to actually not be under the gun.
That's kind of nice. We got other people helping us. It makes it look a little nicer, doesn't it?
Yeah, Jessica was awesome.
Did you have any work with Caitlin too on that too?
Yeah, Keelan looked at a couple of our things, a couple of our funding issues.
That helped?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Good. I like, again, the football team versus trying to hire an individual.
Makes it easier.
It does. Do I have a recommendation from the council to approve the downtown development?
I'll make a motion to approve the WDDA 2023 to 2024 budget as presented.
Second.
Any discussion from the council? Anybody? Seeing none, roll call please.
Schoenberg,
Yes.
Stanfield,
Yes.
Walter,
Yes.
Hitchcock.
Yes. Handbook approval. Mr. Scott, you are our lawyer, did you get a chance to look at that?
yes, I did actually.
I thank you for that, but at this point, let's see what we got.
Well, let's see here, so, a couple of concerns is, the things that jump out to me, residency requirement, I see there was a modification of that. Generally speaking, there's not much of a residency requirement anymore for municipalities.
Yeah, as far as distance.
Yeah, distance left, yeah. I think it was 20 originally, then it was modified to 4, proposed 40.
Right.
I mean, I guess it would be no harm, no foul, but, most municipalities don't have that anymore. Just because the labor pool, they need to pull from as far as they can usually, so,
Just remove it.
yeah. The other thing that jumped out at me was, there were some changes to FMLA, Family Medical Leave Act. What I'm cautioning about the FMLA and the changes with that is, just that, I guess if you wanna be more generous in what the law provides, that's one thing, but, as a rule, FMLA, you know, that's a federal law, and I don't know how far you wanna deviate from that. I'm not saying you can't, if you're providing a more of a benefit to the employee.
Cause we're at 1, and then go 1 through 5, and we're gonna go to 3, which.
No, that's, yeah, I think he's talking something about.
The Medical Leave Act,
Yeah, I don't, what was proposed?
there was one part that jumped on me was that an employee had to, FMLA, the general rule is with FMLA, an employee has to exhaust all their vacation time, personal time, before FMLA starts. And the proposed handbook that I seen, it only required an employee to exhaust 50% of their vacation time and the like. So, I'm not saying it's not possible to do it that way, but I'd want to double check it to make sure they weren't going up against federal law, because in that scenario.
I don't think they can do that. I think everything has to be exhausted because FMLA is a non-paid medical leave. So if they keep 50% of sick leave and vacation time while they're on FMLA, they can draw that time and still get paid for it. That's why you have to exhaust all of that before you can collect FMLA. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. And Dan, just to refresh everybody here at the council, you were how many years worked at a union job, correctly?
30
30.
years with the state of Michigan.
Yep, so the state of Michigan, so you appreciate your knowledge.
We've gone through this before at work.
Yeah. Well, we can make a note.
So, US Code 29, subsection 2612, leave requirement, subsection 2, parents A, in general, an eligible employee may elect or an employer may require employee to substitute any of the accrued paid vacation leave, personal leave, or family leave of an employee for the leave provided under the paragraphs of parent A, B, C, or E of section A1 for any part of the 12-week period such leave under such subsection. So I guess that's what it's saying, and it's kind of what I was going back to, is the village is actually providing a greater benefit to the employee by not making them exhaust the 50%, but much like what the gentleman stated, I'd want to verify that if the council's so inclined to grant that benefit, it doesn't bind against FMLA. That's my only concern with that one. I know there was some talk about concealed weapons. I didn't know if that was still on the table or not.
It is, it's in here on page 21.
Now, there's nothing that prohibits allowing government, municipal employees to conceal carry, provided the council agrees that it's an appropriate policy within the handbook. I guess that's just a decision that the council has to make on whether or not they want that.
And if you ever had any other municipality that actually had it, so they could have it?
Every municipality I've worked with does not allow for concealed carry of employees inside the workplace.
And you got this paperwork that we got, that you were seeing, and I believe what Dan's telling, just something we can have you go back and make sure we're more collaborative, and we'll just not vote on this tonight.
That's fine.
Look at that, make sure, we need to update it for sure, but I wanna make sure we update it correctly. Or be in compliance at this point, but, you know, on the concealed weapon, I mean, I get it on one hand, but I wanna make sure that with our rodent problems out there at the DPW for our lagoons, I don't wanna have it where it doesn't work for that, because we definitely have traps and other ways of, the lagoons they attract them.
Sure.
So somehow you can trap so many of them, but eventually you just still have to.
And, there is, I mean, I'll tell you, Ann Arbor has, they have a real problem with their deer population out there. And what do they call that? A call or something like that? And so there are ways to wordsmith policies to allow for, appropriate firearm use within employment.
Yeah, so there's North Lansing.
Yeah. So, I mean, it can be done, it just depends on, I mean, what I've seen, the proposal that I've seen actually involved a licensed, a Michigan citizen that's licensed with concealed carry, who is employed here to be able to carry that firearm inside this building and have it on their person during their working hour, if I understand the spirit of what was being proposed, I guess, so.
And as long as we approve that, that would be allowed. Okay.
Like the President Hitchcock said, I would just wanna make sure, because it's a very sensitive issue, we wanna make sure that we have that just right. I don't want any loose ends with that kind of policy,
Right.
so.
Got it. So I believe at this point, if everybody's okay with that on the handbook, I mean, do we wanna alter it now with Scott Gould or have him double check a couple things?
Have them check it.
Okay,
Yeah.
just Dan.
Getting back to what our attorney was mentioning about concealed carry.
Yeah.
And the village can make a ruling saying, no, you cannot conceal carry here. How would that affect the state law of open carry, constitutional carry, which the state of Michigan, that's legal.
Right.
Can the village pass an ordinance that will supersede state law?
So the only way I can answer that, Dan, is if you go out here to ADM Weberville, they own that property and they say no weapons on their property, or for a guy that's got a concealed weapon and a semi-truck. So at that point, you gotta have it in a lockbox with a magazine in a different area.
Right, but somebody's semi-truck is considered their home,
True.
not a vehicle, it's a home.
So I guess Scott would have to answer that for you.
And what's ADM?
Oh, the grain terminal. We're at the grain terminal, where the trucks.
Okay, that's private.
True. So a lot of places.
That's a private entity.
Okay,
That's like Walmart.
okay.
Walmart can say, hey, no guns allowed in here. They can do that because it's private. But this being a public,
Okay.
can the village pass an ordinance that will supersede state law? That's my question.
It's a good one.
Well, generally speaking, no, a village cannot pass an ordinance that supersedes state law. However, and I can find it here in a minute probably, there is a statute on point, a state law, which provides municipalities the powers to restrict employee and firearm carrying.
Okay,
So, I can try and find it here, it'll take me a second, because I know I've looked this matter up a little bit ago, but, I can get back to you if you guys wanna keep moving, I'll try and find this thing.
Okay, all right, everybody good with that? So at this point, what do we wanna do with the handbook approval? Can't approve it the way it is right now, I don't think it's quite correct.
No, I say
No.
wait,
Yeah,
have
let's
Scott
table
look it
that.
over and
So you wanna make
table,
a recommendation to table it?
yeah.
You wanna do this, entrance, let's start April first,
What's this now?
entrance April first. Do you guys wanna do
What's
that?
sick time got to do with, is it in the handbook?
Yeah.
So how do you do the handbook, if the handbook isn't completely ready?
You can approve one part and then do the rest later. Or just approve whatever you want to do.
I would rather have the handbook, like, everything in it approved correctly at one time, don't you think?
Yeah,
I don't wanna pull it apart and have one spot and the other spot.
Okay, so now, if, say, because in the handbook it says vacation time must be used within the year it's earned and any unused time will be lost. But if we update the handbook later in the year, then it doesn't really matter because if you have sick time, you can carry over 5 days, right?
Not yet. Right now, it's, you get paid out half if you don't charge that much.
Okay, but what I'm saying is if we don't approve it right now, and we get to do it after April 1st, will that not take effect till April of the next year?
Right.
Okay.
So I don't know if you guys wanted to make it effective this year or next year, or whatever you guys want to do.
I guess maybe just do it with the whole April.
Next year.
Okay, we can just do it then.
And just the time came up.
Well, could we approve certain parts and then go back and then the different part?
I recommend the council use table the handbook until we can get it completely accurate, and then we'll prove it at that.
That makes more sense.
I will
That would be
second
pretty-
that.
I agree.
So
So moved.
So
Sorry.
moved, and we need a second,
Second,
okay?
Hold on, all right, catch up.
Question,
Yes.
can we, when we do approve it, can we make it retroactive to April 1st? If we wanted to?
Back it up. If we don't approve it now, we approve it
If
in
we don't
April
approve
meeting.
it until the end of April, we get everything ironed out by the end of April. Can we make it retroactive back to April 1st?
Is this the sick leave? Is this the
Yeah.
question?
Yes.
Yes.
I don't see a reason why it cannot be done that way.
Okay.
I mean, I can double check it, but I don't
Yeah.
see.
Is that fair?
I think so.
Okay.
We can
I'm
put
good
in
with
our
that.
recommendation when we get the handbook and get it straight.
Okay.
then they have to fly back and then fly back again.
That's our time machine vehicle that nobody knows about. All right. So, we did. Yeah, we need to vote on it.
Schoenberg,
Yes.
Stanfield,
Yes,
Walter,
Yes.
Hitchcock.
Yes. Thank you. Okay, elevator quote. Deborah Walter.
Okay, met with Eric Peterson and Ryan on Friday morning, and Jessica. And he was going through, I guess, the maintenance slip down there from Otis, is that correct? They're not standing up to their contract with the village. They're supposed to be out here quarterly to do maintenance on it, and they have not been doing that.
Paying for it. I see.
We are paying for
I
that.
do, I see it.
So, he told me he would, write up, an estimate on maintenance, whatever.
What do you think about the accordion doors? Can you make that different or no?
Go over that with them. 'Cause they were kind of, dumbfounded with how old our elevator
Yeah,
was.
he was, yeah. He said that's interesting, if I remember
Yeah.
correctly.
I thought the same thing when I was using it.
Yeah,
It's like a Barbie dream house.
So-
elevator.
here is
Barbie dream house, they have accordion doors.
the estimate. He said that, he would write one up and he could present it to council and take it from there. He is literally 8 miles away. And I do have personal knowledge of the guy's work, and he's never had a problem.
So what are we doing about, like, paying for the maintenance that's not happening? Like,
Well, thank you.
How's
That's
that
very
It's
nice.
not in here.
That was my question
Yeah,
to you, and you didn't even know that.
If we're paying for
then they
something,
should be up here
or refunding.
maintaining.
or
Right.
Because
refunding.
there's a reason why we got an issue with the state, because they didn't write everything they needed to, so it got shut down for a little bit.
They definitely
Luckily, that
owe,
was during COVID, so nobody was using it, but
they still owe money, I believe, they owe us money back, because if they entered into a contract with us.
And they're not
They're
abiding
not
by it.
fulfilling it, and the evidence is right down there on the maintenance sheet, so, I mean, you're supposed to mark down on that.
They reneged on their end.
Every time you come,
Yeah.
what you checked, condition, whatever, right, but no, they have not appeared, so.
I think we said it was Otis being one of the biggest
So it's bad.
in the world.
Yeah, he was,
I'm so sorry.
did,
So if
yeah, he
somebody enters into a
Otis
contract with us
said
the
that,
village
it was,
maintain
for the most part.
quarterly
Just a second, 1 second.
with the elevator, and they have not done so,
But we're
What can-
paying them
yes.
to actually do it.
I mean, provided that there's nothing in the contract that requires us to make the request or something, if they're supposed to take it upon their own initiative to show up. I mean, I'm kind of speculating what the contract says, but if we're paying and they're not coming here, that's a breach of contract, that's grounds for civil litigation.
Look at that.
And if, what you could do, I'm sorry, I was kind of reading this, but at the same
No,
time.
I get it.
If we know, I mean, one thing we could do, we could call the contractor and say, hey, look, we want a journal of all the times you've been here. And we'll send a letter out saying, hey, we'd like to have a journal for our records of every time you've been here in the last year. And if they forward a journal that has no entries, well, now we got a breach issue. And so instead of going right to court, you can say, hey, look, here's how much we're paying you. Here's about how much each time it costs us for you to come here. We see you haven't been here. We want either credits going forward or we want our money back. I mean, that would be your options. That's how I'd personally like to handle it before we went right to court and said, hey, pay up. But it sounds pretty cut and dry.
Thank you.
All right, Jess, sorry that we're giving you extra
Yeah.
work now.
Let's get to find the contract and send it an email.
I've seen it, but I like, when I sign the checks, I have not seen that in quite a while. I have not seen that for quite a while. Seems like when you make a call to them and they show up and they give you a bill.
Thank
Imagine
you,
that.
Jessica.
So keep us posted on that, Deborah. That works for you.
And thank you.
Okay, number,
You and I are working on this, okay.
the ARPA, money possible use for sheriffs, American Accessibility Technology Incorporated, this is for elevator. This is the one, Michigan
Paragraph K, no, no, no.
APR fund right here. What's the APA, I always like to know what APR stands for.
That's that emergency relief fund that they sent out to everybody.
I call it emergency refund. What's ARPA mean?
It's called ARPA. I don't really know the
ARPA?
acronym right now.
ARPA. Okay, so this ARPA, when we got this in front of us, so what are we gonna be able to do to, we should make a motion on to be part of this?
So use the money towards the sheriff's contract to free up some stuff in the general fund.
Which we can get, so the ARPA will give us $136,000.
We already have, we just have to apply it to a certain spot.
This is something that Caitlin from Latin said to do. Okay, I understand that, I'm up to speed. And there's $200,000 in here to contribute to it.
I think it's $136,000.
136 what we're gonna use for this new, not for last year's, so it's gonna be the new year starting April 1. Okay.
American Rescue Plan.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It's
American-
American Rescue Plan.
Rescue Plan, okay. So we need a motion on the American Rescue Plan Association, money possibly used for the sheriff's contract. Looks like we use up to 136,000.
So I will make a motion to approve using the ARPA funds of $136,000 for the sheriff's contract starting April 1st, 2023.
I second.
Okay, discussion, we should put starting 2023 for the budget of 2023, 2024. We'll go ahead.
24 budget year.
So is that right, we put that on there, because we'll go through this new, because our years, maybe another couple years we can add it end at Christmas, like everybody else should be.
That'd be nice.
The reason they did that is because they took the tax money in spring, so they could have funds to deal with the new thing for next year. Exactly.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. So we got that, we got a second by Lana, roll call please.
Showmore,
Yes.
Stanfield,
Yes.
Walter,
Yes.
Hitchcock.
Yes, please, thank you.
So
Ready communities.
this is just like a trade opportunity for you guys. It's not really anything to vote on. Was it Lee? Who's Dylan and Emma through Josh?
The EDC, LEAP.
So they gave this to me, this kind of explains what the redevelopment ready communities is, it's very helpful, so, if you want to do that, you can. Highly
Redevelopment, ready community, so is this
recommended,
the library will
it's out in the village.
just helps the village, but where do you come in or what?
Yeah, it's-
And then where do you sign up for that? Because it says click here to register.
I will send you the link.
The link, I will appreciate that.
I'm taking.
So housing plan, growing development, board, economic
Yep.
redevelopment
If you can send it to me.
for no.
I'll get it from you.
I already got part of it, now we just have to class.
Do we have a recommendation from the council?
I will make a recommendation to approve the payment, no, there's no,
Just to take the photo.
Let's see, like, you don't really have to make a motion, you just, I send you the link and you do it. So whoever's interested, raise your hand and I'll send it to you.
Okay, so we didn't have to,
I think everybody,
Alright, I'll tell everybody.
thank you.
I'll leave it with
everybody so
Josh.
we can.
Is that weapon air?
Huh?
Is that a seminar or something?
Kind of, it's like a every other Thursday kind of thing.
Or an
6
hour,
to
I
7.
would imagine you would like to do
I'm sure
it.
I'll, because we've tried to do the redevelopment thing forever now. So there's a million hoops you have to jump through to get that.
Yeah.
But it does open you up for a ton of grants. So it would be a good thing.
Okay, so Plant Moran, we went through back and forth, I actually talked to Brian Culmiller himself, verbally back and forth, through the whole program, the situation we had in hand. There's an additional 24,000 that solves all the payments with Plant Moran and the program to help us with the forensic audit, and it leads us up to, as long as we don't go to trial, everything is paid full. I know that last time, like 3 times ago, I thought it was also done, but there was documentation that Brian Culmiller didn't have, and it came from the forensic side. It did show a reduction of $35,000.
The 35,000 is what we paid, they're doing a write-off and discount for $38,680, it's huge.
Time and effort. $4,750 is when we went over there to the 53 district court, plus what this one more last time, which hopefully will be tomorrow, and be over with. The only way it would be any more expenditure if it went to trial.
Do you guys have the total on that? What that all has costed up today?
We do.
Is that something the insurance company?
We still are under our insurance, what we'll get back for our insurance. So the insurance will pay for this process. I was worried about that too. But to total this figure, which drives me crazy, which I wanna do that with you right now,
Actually, what's the second page?
just tell how much I've got it here.
You read my chicken scratch.
So this is the total. Where's it?
So,
I tried to do this too with Brian, it was insane.
right here. So, these are
I just want the total.
It's the 24,000 we owe them.
No, I want the
He wants
total
the
from
grand
the
total.
time we started this with the project.
The 54,250.
Okay,
So total approved.
okay, cause it was, cause I got as high as 74, but it is, where's it at on my paper?
This was the approved amounts. That was the total amounts. That's the total. That's the,
So it did go this high. This was the maximum of the whole project. So 57,930, and we started with 10, 10, 10. So we had 30,000 that we kept bumping as we went. Is that correct? I'm pretty sure I'm right on that.
Okay.
So when we got all done, it went as high to finish the project was 57,930.
Okay. For some reason I thought it was already over 50 and then you guys are adding the 24 to it.
I did the math and it got to 74 and I said, there's something wrong with this, it's not correct. So then I had about 4 people work on it, 5 people work on it, and then we got to, but the total on the project, 57,930. Okay,
And
So-
then we just need to pay
approve
them
the last,
24 and, okay.
and that's what they said.
Alright, so I will make a motion to approve the payment of 24,000 to Plant Moran dated 3/7/2023 for forensic analysis.
I will second.
Any more discussion?
No, the,
Is there an invoice number on this? No, there isn't.
um,
Yes, sir. Let's put the invoice number on it, 2259729. Okay, roll call please.
Homer,
Yes.
Stanfield,
Yes,
Walter,
Yes.
Pinchuk.
Yes. Okay. Total Energy Systems, that's you, isn't it, Shane?
Received our normal, Total Energy, they were bought out, I can't remember what the name of it was before, whether it was Cummins Bridgeway or what it was. They sent over their, maintenance agreement. And the current agreement is a semi-annual visit without load banking, and I wanted to see what thought was, how many years you wanted to go on that. They never used to offer anything but a one-year contract, but now they actually built in their increases for inflation and,
This is the solar man,
no, this is the generators that run the,
generator. In the well houses. Why?
the generator that's in the well house, both the well houses and the generator that is at Party Road.
Party Road.
Yeah.
Sewer. So this would be a maintenance that they would do.
Yep, they come up twice a year, and do an inspection on it. And one of the times that they come out, they do oil changes on it and check all the fluids and everything,
Are they natural gas or are they gas diesel or natural gas?
and natural gas.
Natural gas.
Yeah.
And right now we have what, just yearly, they just come out and do it, we don't have
It's a semi-annual, no load banking.
will we save money going with a contract, set it out with them?
It locks us in.
Yeah, cause you're worried about them going away, and we're not locked into the one over in Chicago, Illinois, which
Right.
won't sell you up, but it's 20 years old too.
Right.
Okay.
And so what would your recommendation be for like how many years do you think we should?
I don't think we're gonna change. I mean, they know our systems well. The guy that works on them lives in Fowlerville. When I call him, he knows who's calling him and
10?
probably, well, it's 7 to 9. I would probably recommend the 9.
9?
Yeah, that way they know that they're here to
What's
stay.
What's it mean, 7 to 9? Do you go up to 9, or just,
Either 7 years,
7,
8
9
years, or
10 years? Okay.
now do they charge every time they come out? Or is that, cause I know a lot of companies are doing this where they're, especially municipalities, they want an upfront money for the 7 to 9 years.
Where's energy increasing, like lubricants go high?
I've been noticing a lot, even on a lot of our bids, that a lot of municipalities are trying to get companies to go higher to get a cheaper rate, but then they're like, you have to pay all of it up front.
Oh,
Which that is a little scary, cause then if something happens, and that company goes under, then
You're out your money?
yeah, you're out your money.
terms and conditions, it says right here, payment terms net 30 days, 60 days.
I assume that because it was, like I say, assumed, but it was, yearly.
But it's 9% increase every 3 years.
Yeah, so if we don't sign it and we decide that we want them to work on it, then they charge an extra 9%.
So I get what you're saying though, is there any words where it says you have to pay all of it up front? I don't see that.
And
No, it looks like it, because it talks about credit card payments, subject to processing fee of up to 3%.
Okay, please review agreement pricing below to continue service with option out to 9 years.
are you saying just the maintenance, or are you saying the maintenance and quarterly inspection?
It's the.
Down here,
Current
Josh,
agreement is semi-annual visits. It's, semi-annual maintenance.
okay,
So it's annual maintenance plus semi-annual inspection.
you wanna see it? It doesn't show that I can see, it shows that we pay every 30 days, it doesn't show any money up front.
Yeah, I would probably just, if it's just like an SLA, like service level agreement that you sign for 7 or 9 years, then, that's not a problem. I just, like I said,
Is that-
probably just be a little bit clearer on
It'd be
what
the
you're
second one.
paying for. And what you're agreeing to.
It'll be the 1637 a year.
Would you go annual maintenance and semi-annual inspections?
Yep, that's what we've got right now.
1637 every year for the next 9 years.
Yeah.
Just goes up for, yeah,
So if
3
we
years.
pay with a credit card,
That one was, last time, that's actually pretty good, especially, I mean, it matters kinda, or do they charge you for the oil, or is that part of that agreement?
I think it's all part of the agreement.
That's a little.
wouldn't it be down here, Josh, where the term and condition says price, payment net 30 days? Credit card would be 3%. Failure to respond to agreement writing within 30 days is 9% increase per 3-year period after selected duration has expired. So as long as you don't miss a payment.
Yeah.
If you miss a payment, then,
Shane, question.
yes.
So we have two papers. One of them says 1627, one of them says 1637.
I do see this.
This one says 1627, and that one says 1637.
March 9th. They're both March
They're
9th.
two different addresses.
Yeah, one's, oh, so one's for the one well.
Oh, yeah, it's,
Okay,
it's,
425 Maple
it's per
Street
generator.
and 47
So 711 and 718.
Yeah,
Hello,
it's per generator.
thank you.
And there should be 3 of them.
Because I was like, wait a minute, you're saying 1637, I'm reading 1627.
You think they're collaborating in one well house with, there's 3
Yeah, I
generators?
have
Oh, yeah, there is, party, so I don't see party.
I have 4787 Party.
Okay.
I don't have 3, I only have the 2.
And then I have 425 Maple.
Yeah, that's, well 1 and 2,
So what about the other well house then?
well number 3.
Because that's not
What do you mean?
on.
That's gonna be a Pine Street address.
Yeah, I don't have.
Yeah, we don't have that.
So for each well,
You got 718, I
it
got
will be
7.
that amount per
Here,
year.
709, there's nothing left.
Thank you.
Site 2, site 3,
Thanks
where's
for
site
clearing
1?
that up.
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't send the RD.
Yeah, it's already
Because without that number, we won't be able to.
Right.
So for you,
You probably just handed this to me on that whole thing.
What's that?
You just handed it to me after.
60.
What's
Yeah,
it?
we have,
Right from the envelope.
we have Maple Street and
No,
Party
it's me,
Road.
I forwarded it to you.
was 1637.
Yeah, but we don't know
I
that.
just
We
put
got
in.
Party and Maple, we don't have, we only got Party and Maple, we don't have.
Put it in at 49.
We don't, yeah, we only have Party and Maple.
Yeah, we can table this until we get the other quote.
So,
Okay.
so
Okay.
since that's just a single, because that one's double,
And then
on
combine,
Maple Street, and that's like an extra $10, I would assume that that one would be like 1627, so if we approve it for less than, or like up to 5,000, no more than 5?
Yeah. 5,000 a year,
he does,
Yeah.
okay.
but then if you have to figure taxes.
Missing one.
But they would wait to figure taxes.
So we're talking probably probably $4,000 a year for the next 9 years,
It's 4,901.
so 45,000 for 9 years to have this maintenance done. But we don't have the other one. We
Yeah.
have 3,
That is figured in with the.
is it?
That's figured in
Well,
with
so
the.
what we figured is,
Guessing, I
since,
get it,
since party is a single,
Yeah.
and that was 1627, and then, the Maple Street one is 2,
right, extra
And that's-
$10.
1637, then maybe the smaller one.
I think they actually go by generator size.
And so,
So how
No, these are both 50.
they got the Party in one well house, they just don't have the other well house.
Yeah. They don't have well number 3.
More than 5,500 a year.
I mean, the next meeting's in 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, I mean, we could wait until the next meeting, to find out what they want.
so just table that?
Yeah.
Do they have a breakdown of what kind of inspections are? I mean, do they bring out a load cell to run the generators and see what they will do?
They're gonna load test it?
Yep, that's it. I got my already,
That's not included in the
Yes.
So basically, they just look at
Yeah, they do have a checklist.
Right,
We generally do, they do like the oranges and stuff, like belts and hoses,
right.
they gotta change the radiator.
I mean, they don't pull pans and or drop main bearings or anything.
No, I do have the reports back,
Do they do oil sampling?
I don't think they go with that. I don't think so.
Might be something you might wanna look into, because that will tell you a hell of
Okay,
a lot of what's
number
going
12.
on inside that home.
I recommended the council not to exceed $3,500 for Scotty's Construction to come in and underground bore at 215 Cherry Street and RC Excavating to dig on both sides to get rid of the galvanized pipe and replace it with a proper pipe, which would be.
I think we're gonna go SDR 9, which is what they're gonna be using on the Main Street projects. It's a blue plastic,
Blue plastic.
or like a blue PEX,
RS9,
SDR 9.
SDR. Got it. Okay, so, once again, the recommendation, I have the council not to exceed $3,500, Scott's Construction for the underground boring, RC Excavating for the digging on both sides to help install this SDR 9 piping that will be, to get it up to compliance, because the galvanized pipe, we can't have it going underneath the ground, going to this house, it's, can't have galvanized piping.
It's only about 3 foot deep too, I don't know how it never froze.
There you go. So that's what I recommend to the council.
So moved?
So moved,
Second,
second, Lana, and roll call or any discussion on this. So it's a new house that we're approaching, okay? Roll call, please.
Schoenberg. Yes. Stanfield.
yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Hitchcock.
Yes. Okay. I don't have anything else on the agenda. Does anybody else have any more for our Village of Waterville Council meeting? Yes, sir. Okay.
Something you mentioned last meeting
Yes.
about when they do the Main Street,
Yes,
you mentioned that you wanted it added in to cap Main Street from Beach to Pardee.
yes.
What is that gonna do to the schedule of having that road completely ripped up and replaced?
Same thing that happened the last 9 years I've been doing this. If I did it 4 years ago, you guys would have been tickled pink. So at this point,
But I mean, it's still on the schedule to be completely replaced.
it's gonna be $136,000 to have them top it with just a topping to make it smooth to Pardee Road. And then in the event when it comes up to finish that, that will still be tore up and get there.
Okay.
And it's tearing up our trucks too. trying to
Oh,
stay-
I understand that completely.
Yep.
You know, you got a pothole that's about that deep on Summit Street that,
But back in the day when everybody said, no, we're gonna tear this up, we're gonna tear this up, and COVID pretty much destroyed
right, I
3 years
understand
of
that.
our growth, which at that point, we could have kept it back then for half that price.
Right. But I was just curious if, you know, it gets capped and, oh, it's great.
They even
And
looked at it and
time
said,
comes around to where it's supposed to be replaced
yeah,
and it's still in decent shape, you know, are we still gonna replace it?
they looked at it and said, well, we don't even know if we need to grind it up, it's broke so bad.
Right.
Just go over it.
Yeah, I understand that too.
Right, okay, yes, it should be very nice, we get all these projects, and everybody to go to work, we'll have a lot of nice things by the time school starts.
I'm not going to work.
Any other questions for the council here before we adjourn? Seeing that, do I have a recommendation, 8:04 PM?
I make motion to adjourn.
Okay.
I second it.
I got a second by Kevin Walter, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you.
Thank you.
Y'all.
Whatever.